tomorrow. The next time a gangbanger commits a crime, Mom and Dad may have to go back to school. Earlier this year, the Parental Accountability Act took effect. It requires parents or guardians to take special anti-gang parenting classes if their children are convicted of gang-related crimes. Supporters of the measure say it's way overdue.
These anti-gang parenting classes will provide parents a powerful tool to learn about the pressures their children face in our society, as well as the potential consequences if their children decide to join a gang.
I don't want any more children dead because, they're part of a gang or their violence just overwhelmed them. That's why teaching is so important. And that's why accountability is so important.
We tried so hard to help him, but he wouldn't listen. I wish there would have been something like this, the Parent Accountability Act, because maybe I wouldn't be standing here and he would be alive.
The program began with parents or guardians of students in LA Unified. The hope is to expand to other districts when funding is made available. Joining us tonight is the author of the Parental Accountability Act, Assemblymember Tony Mendoza of Norwalk. He's also a former public school teacher. He says the point of this measure is to give parents the tools they need to help their kids before it's too late. And here are some of the provisions of the Parental Accountability Act. First of all, not everybody goes. It's up to the judge to decide which parents get sent to the program. The parents have to pay for it. And as part of the curriculum, parents will have to spend time with victims' families. They'll also get scared straight with tough talk from other parents of gangbangers. They'll learn about jail sentences for repeat gang offenders, and they'll be told about local resources that can help them with everything from teenage drug abuse to problems at school to job training. And Mr. Mendoza, let's just start with the rollout here. It's pretty limited. Only LAUSD is involved. Parents of those students might be subjected to this program. Explain why such a small rollout for the law.
Well, actually, it is a large rollout because LA Unified is one of the largest districts in our nation.
But the parents pay for it, so why not make it statewide?
Oh, it is statewide. This is a statewide law. We were late in implementing it because of budget cuts. The department that was supposed to implement the law statewide was cut. So what we did is we took the Attorney General's curriculum and we took it to the Adult Ed Division of LA Unified School District, and they ran with it.
So there's a program already set up and ready to go at this point.
Exactly. We're going to duplicate this program and send it out statewide and talk to other adult ed divisions throughout our state.
All right, well, we're going to bring into this conversation Marissa Martinez. She's the president of Parents of Murdered Children in Oxnard, a group she never thought she would have to create. 5 years ago, Marissa's son Vincent was shot and killed outside the family home. Vincent was just 19 years old, and ever since then, Marissa has worked with other victims' families to deal with their grief and to look for a way to stop the violence. So, Mrs. Martinez, let me just ask you, would you be participating in one of these classes? Would you be actually talking to the parents of gangbangers?
I would love to speak with all these gang members, the parents, because I feel that I have something in common with them. And
what would you say?
Pardon me?
What would you say to them?
I would tell them that I was in their same shoes, and that I would definitely not criticize or judge anyone, but this is something that we need to re-educate everyone.
It's called the Parental Accountability Law. So how do you think, or what do you think you would say, Mrs. Martinez, that would in fact make the parents realize that they must take a responsibility for their children's actions?
Because we still have a responsibility as parents to be under the age of 18, and sometimes it is hard, but for the parents, they must understand what's going on in their children's life, and being further educated will help them, guide them. There's a lot of resources out there that they can reach out to and help them out. And this is definitely something that we all, me as well, that we all need the help.
Mr. Mendoza, all of this has to do with effectiveness of the program. If, it sounds really good, but unless you have a program that actually is going to do good, what do you know about this program and whether or not it will actually be effective and to prevent the kind of deaths that we're talking about on a fairly regular basis, including Vincent Martinez's?
You must realize that many of these parents are in denial. They don't want to face the fact that their kids are involved in some sort of deviant behavior. And by a judge mandating to take these classes, they will have a wake-up call when they say, you know what, I need to do something about my child before my child ends up dead, before my child takes a worse turn. So these classes are very vital. And you can understand that actually these classes can be on a voluntary basis. Anybody could just go and pay the fees and take the class themselves. They feel that they need to be a better parent.
You know, I have a quote here that I found sort of interesting. Juvenile crime could be abated if parents were made to face legal and financial responsibility for the criminal actions of their children. Do you agree with that quote, Mr. Mendoza?
That's a tough quote. It depends on the circumstances, but sometimes if parents are very negligible and continue not to help the children, there's got to be some place where they can meet halfway in the middle.
Well, the interesting thing about that quote, it's from 1956 from J. Edgar Hoover. So the idea of parental responsibility and accountability has been around a long time, and yet we're still having this discussion.
Well, now it's a state law, and actually, as a former school teacher, I could tell you which kids succeed and which ones don't, just by the fact that the parents are involved.
All right, Mrs. Martinez, what more do you want this program to do? And do you think if something like this had been in place 10 years ago, you'd be in a different place?
I definitely would be, because I think I was very much involved in my son's life, and I think every year, every 5 years, these generations are changing. We need to know what our kids are up to. There's different drugs out there that are constantly changing, and we need to know what they're doing, what the differences are, and people get more involved, not wait until I lost my son. I don't want anybody to lose their son's lives anymore.
But Mrs. Martinez, let me just point out, as the mother of a teenager, at a certain point, they have a will of their own. I'm not sure education, for me, is really going to make a difference.
But it opens your eyes. At least you know what they're going to be up to. There's a lot of things you can't do. You can't keep them 24 hours locked in your home. I understand that. But if you start doing things at a younger age, then you'll be aware of things to look forward to. And if you're aware and start teaching your children at a very young elementary age, then you're got a little head start than what I had.
Okay.
You know, and people really, I know they're going to get angry, and they're going to say, I don't have time, I don't have the money. But you know what? The time, the money, I wished I had the time and the money and have my son alive today.
That is a very good place to stop this conversation. Very good point, Mrs. Martinez. Thank you very much. Mr. Mendoza, thank you for joining us.